Hey guys, what's up? Excoundrel here, and today we're going to be covering every single attachment in PUBG Mobile. We'll talk about what they are, what they do to the gun that you're using, what situations they're useful in, and try and cover as much information as physically possible in roughly 10 to 12 minutes. I'm hoping we keep it short because obviously I don't want to make this a super long video. Let's start with the front end attachments, and we're going to start with the flash hider. Now, the flash hider, as you can see the stats on the left hand side there, has a minor effect on recoil and recoil pattern. It is less than the compensator, so if you're getting the flash hider to try and control your weapon better, you're going to want the compensator instead. However, what the flash hider does do is what it says on the tin. It eliminates the muzzle flash from your weapon. This is especially good for snipers, especially if you're firing very long distances where the sound is not going to be as audible to your enemies. It hides that little white muzzle flash when you fire the weapon, which can sometimes give you away visually from very long distances. So this is what makes the flash hider good over the effects that it has on recoil. The recoil effects are a minor bonus. Now, if you want to control your recoil more effectively, what you need is the rifle compensator. This is the ultimate front-end attachment for making you more accurate, and there is one obviously for the SMG and the sniper as well, but they have different stats, so I've separated them out. The stats you can see there, it has a good control of recoil pattern and also adds a bit of extra control to the bullet spread, which is the deviation of bullets, especially when looking down the sights as well. Compensators help keep you more accurate, especially during auto and burst fire. So if you are a spray and pray type of player, the compensator will allow you to control your gun that much more effectively and keep you more accurate for longer. So this is what's good about the compensators. They are the ultimate control front-end attachment for your weapon. The situations that I find compensators good are close-range combat. I like them in the situations where you get to the final circle, where the silencer is not going to help you as much because obviously you're so close that everybody can see you anyway. So I will take a silencer for the majority of the mid-game if I can, and then I'll switch out to a compensator. The only sort of caveat with compensators is on the sniper rifle compensator. If you're using a bolt action rifle, they are not as effective because you're going to reset your scope every single time, so it's not going to be as effective for snipers because you're not firing in quick succession. However, things like the Mini 14 and the SKS and anything that can continuously fire down scope, you will find use from sniper rifle compensators. Alright, moving on to the silencer slash the suppressor. The only thing it does to affect your gun is a minus 5% deviation. Now, I'm going to explain this in the best way that I can. Deviation is another stat that affects the spread of the bullets. And the best way I can explain it is the way that the devs have done for PUBG. Deviation only applies to third person and hipfire mode, and it is the spread of the bullets in your crosshair, in your reticle. Bullet spread is affected by deviation, but they are separate stats. So the silencer suppressor should really only apply to third person and hipfire modes. And that is a very very small change to the deviation of the bullets. However, the main reason people pick up silencers and suppressors is the fact that it completely muffles your sounds. It makes it more difficult to hear where you're being shot from, so you can't immediately locate someone based on sound alone. And in PUBG Mobile, it increases the spread of that little indicator. So you know the little indicator on the map that shows you where someone is shooting from? If they are shooting without a silencer, you will see a much more refined and accurate representation of where that person is shooting from. If they are shooting you with a silencer, it will be a very wide cone, and it will be much harder to locate where that person is shooting you from. However, as the game goes on towards the very close circles, obviously the silencer is going to become less effective because people will just be able to see you, or they'll have an indication of where you are. So I always like to swap out on my ARs to something like a compensator. However, my sniper rifles I do like to try and keep on silencers for the majority of the game, especially if I'm using the Kar 98, because you don't really get much effectiveness from a compensator for the Kar 98 because it's a bolt action. So I'll often keep sniper rifle silencers pretty much throughout the game. Alright, moving on to shotgun attachments, and one of these you might not recognize if you're a PUBG Mobile player that hasn't seen the update 0.7 or you haven't played PUBG on the PC, and that's the duckbill. We'll get to that in a second. The first is the choke. The choke reduces the overall pellet spread of the shotgun. It effectively increases the range of the shotgun as well by focusing the fire. It does have the trade-off that you have to be more accurate, but if you retain that accuracy, you're going to be more devastating if you hit key areas of your opponent. The duckbill does almost the opposite. It reduces the vertical pellet spread but widely increases the horizontal pellet spread, meaning that you get a flattened cone style of shot coming from your shotgun with a duckbill. The situations that I actually see this being useful is when you're trying to rush multiple people in squads with a shotgun and you're hoping to get 2 or 3 people hit in a singular blast. That's kind of what I expect the duckbill to actually be useful for. Maybe indoors, rushing a room or something like that. That's maybe where I see it being used. Moving on to grip attachments, vertical foregrip is probably the most used in the game. 20% recoil pattern reduction, 15% reduction in vertical recoil. The kind of point of the vertical foregrip is to allow you to be more accurate with single tap firing and burst firing modes, allowing you to control the vertical recoil more effectively and be more accurate at medium to long range. That's why a lot of people like it, because a lot of battles are done at medium to long range, especially in solos. The angled foregrip is kind of the opposite. It gives you a 20% recoil pattern reduction, but mainly focuses on horizontal recoil, giving you a 20% reduction there. It also decreases the time that you take to get into your aim down sight, which is when you go to look down your scope. It's really good for close range and really good for spray fire. So if you're an automatic user or you like to burst heavy amounts of shots in one go, it's a really good grip for that, and it's also beneficial for hip firing. So this is your close range attachment. Alright, we're going to move on to the new attachments coming out in Update 0.7 on PUBG Mobile, and I believe already released on the PC. We're going to start off with the half grip. This is a jack-of-all-trades grip. Reduction in recoil pattern, reduction in horizontal and vertical recoil, and it allows you to aim down your sights 20% quicker. The trade-off is that you don't recover from recoil as well, and you have an increased sway and kick multiplier, meaning that to place shots accurately at long distance and quickly is going to be more challenging if you're using this grip attachment, meaning that it is a versatile grip attachment meant for short to medium range combat if you don't want to switch out between the vertical and the horizontal grip in the right situations. That is what that grip is going to provide for you. Moving on to the thumb grip. This is like the vertical grip and actually has a bit more going to it with a few trade-offs. The thumb grip reduces recoil pattern, it reduces vertical recoil, it allows you to recover from recoil a little bit quicker, and you can look down the sights 5% quicker. However, you have to deal with a bit more horizontal recoil problems. This is not meant for spraying, this is not meant for shorter range combat. However, this is going to allow you to place long range shots more accurately, more quickly, and is generally an upgrade, I believe, over the vertical grip in long range situations. However, you do trade off horizontal recoil and sway, which is going to affect you when spraying, and also going to affect you from hip fire, and also going to affect you at short range combat. So this is a longer range attachment, however I do think it has the most potential out of the new attachments. The light grip is a really interesting one. You get a reduction in recoil pattern, but a 25% increase on vertical and horizontal recoil. However, it reduces your recoil recovery rate, it reduces your sway multiplier, reduces your kick multiplier as well, meaning that if you want to take a single shot and have a massive impact with it at long distance, and then continue to do so, this is the grip for you. As long as you can control that horizontal and vertical recoil yourself, this is the grip that's going to allow you to be super effective at range. The guys who want to take 1 to 3 shots to make sure they count, that's what this grip is going to be used for. However, for spraying, versatility in auto mode, it is absolutely awful. And finally, this is technically a grip attachment, the quiver for the crossbow. All it does is decreases your reload time by 30%, allows you to get them bolts in quicker so you can headshot those tier 3 helmets for the one-shot kills. Alright, moving on to stock attachments, and we're going to begin with bullet loops. Fairly simple. For the shotgun, it makes you reload quicker, 30% quicker. With the Kar98 and Winchester, it makes you reload 30% quicker, but also has a hidden effect of decreasing the spread by 50%, although the spread on the Winchester and the Kar98 is so minimal that you won't notice it too much anyway. I believe that might be for a future update for PUBG Mobile users. I'm not sure if you can yet attach the bullet loops to the Winchester in PUBG Mobile. So cheek pads, there is one for the VSS coming in a future update, but right now the sniper cheek pad reduces vertical recoil and it reduces kick and sway, just meaning that you can fire successive shots more quickly. Not so useful for bolt action rifles like the Kar98, but really good for things like the SKS and the Mini 14, those that you can constantly fire without having to come out of your scope. The next is the M4 stock. This is part of what makes the M4 such an amazing weapon. It reduces your recoil pattern, it increases your recoil recovery speed, and reduces kick and sway. It's so good in so many situations. It makes it a good long-range weapon. It also increases your ability to fire at short range as well. The M4 stock is a must if you are using the M4 at all. You should always be searching for a stock. And finally, the Uzi. Pretty similar. It reduces the recoil pattern, increases your recoil recovery speed, and also reduces vertical recoil specifically on the Uzi, just allowing you to be a bit more effective at a medium range. Alright, moving on to scope attachments, and we'll start with the red dot and the holographic. The only bonus they provide to your gun is 20% faster aim down sights, and it's personal preference of which one you prefer between the two, because they essentially do the same thing. I think the red dot is less intrusive, and I prefer it, although if you prefer the holographic, that's perfectly fine, but you're a heathen. Moving on to the 2x scope, you get a 10% faster ADS. Now, the thing that you don't tell you about the 2x scope is it's actually 1.8 times magnification, so it's not a true 2x scope. However, you can range find with this scope, and I'll explain a little bit how. The center reticle is a small circle. If the opponent that you're looking at fits directly and wholly in that small circle, they are 100 meters away. If they fit between the center dot and the outside of the circle, they're 200 meters away, and if they are completely obscured by the center dot, they're 300 meters away. So that's a quick guide to range finding with the 2x scope. So now we're coming on to the 4x scope. I believe this is probably the most popular and the most versatile scope in the game. It can do you from any range, realistically, from medium to long. It starts to fall off when you get to super close range. It's not great indoors, for instance, but any kind of open air engagement, the 4x is always going to be one of the most popular scopes because it can do pretty much most ranges in the game. It even retains its usefulness as you head down towards the later stages. Now, obviously, when you get up close and personal using hip firing or you're in a building, the 4x is not going to be super useful. But again, you always want to have one of these on hand because of how adaptable this scope is. Alright, now for the 8x scope. The actual zoom is 7.25 times, so it's not quite an 8x full scope. It's the most accessible long-range scope in the game, and it does, thank you to my subscribers, have a variable zoom where you can zoom to 4x and then back to 8x. So you have got a variable zoom on this on PUBG Mobile, and obviously on PUBG PC, the variable zoom is there as well. This scope, I think, is brilliant. And again, because it zooms down to 4x, it makes it adaptable. It means you can bring your snipers into closer range combat as well, and it retains its usefulness as the game goes on. The 15x scope, the actual zoom is 12x. This is crate only. It's a very, very high level of zoom. It's useful in some very specific scenarios. It is adaptable as well. You can also zoom in and out with this scope. But yeah, I very rarely come across this scope. Even if I do, I very rarely use it. I'd much prefer to have the 8x or the 4x in most situations. Alright, now looking at the 3x and the 6x scopes. These are available on PUBG Mobile 0.7, and they are available on the PC already. The 6x is a variable zoom. Basically, what this means is, again, like the 8x, you can zoom it in and out, and it goes down to 3x and back up to 6x and so on and so forth. I'm really looking forward to using these scopes. I think they're going to add a lot to the gameplay factors. The 3x is that nice sweet spot between the 2x, which a lot of people don't like, and the 4x. So if you can't find a 4x, the 3x might be good enough to sate you, and it's also going to be good in short to medium range combat. And the 6x is that spot between the 4x and the 8x. When the 8x is too long, and sometimes maybe you feel the 4x isn't long enough, that's where the 6x is going to come in. And I think a lot of people will really enjoy that zoom factor. I know that Powerbang made a video saying that he did enjoy it himself. Alright, we're going to gloss over the magazine attachments now because they are the easiest to understand. You have the extended, the quick draw, and the extended quick draw. No points for guessing what the extended quick draw does. It literally just combines the utilities of the previous two. So the extended mag for assault rifles, all assault rifles go from 30 to 40 bullets, the S12K, which is the shotgun, goes from 5 to 8, and the reload time on the quick draw mag means you increase your reload speed by 30%. That is the same for every single quick draw magazine for every single gun in the game. SMGs, the extended mags, takes the Uzi from 25 to 35, the UMP from 30 to 40, and most importantly, the Vector from 13 to 25. It is an absolutely essential attachment if you want to make the Vector work. You need this attachment. It makes the Vector 10 times better. Sniper attachments, the extended mag takes the M24 and the AWM from 5 to 7 bullets, the SKS and the MK14 from 10 to 20, the Mini 14 goes from 20 to 30 bullets, and the VSS goes from 10 to 20. Now in a future update the VSS may get its own extended mag, however the details of that have not been fully released as of yet, so I'm just going to put that in there as a caveat. And I haven't forgotten about our dear old pistols. They are going to get some extended magazine action going on right here. They all have a P in them for some reason. The P18C goes from 17 to 25. The P1911 goes from 7 to 12. And the P92 goes from 15 to 20. Cool, you can tell it's been a long night making this video. Right, that is it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. I hope I didn't miss any attachments out. If I did, feel free to flame me in the comments. Yes, if you watched and enjoyed it, subscribe, leave a like, give a comment, click that bell notification so you can see all my awful uploads. Go online. See you soon, guys.